And welcome back, everyone, from the news. Now you're updated on the news and traffic. Of course, lots of text messages on the American Leak Detection text-in line. So Faithfully is our song for the Journey tickets. And thank you again for all the kind words and nice things you were saying about that wonderful opportunity. And no pun intended, but welcome, Jay, from Opportunity, Arkansas. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing good. It's been a busy week, but it's good to be back with you at the normal time today.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make you laugh in a second because for some reason my brain keeps wanting to tell me it's Wednesday instead of Thursday. That's how crazy this week has been.
It has, and a lot of big news. I was listening yesterday. Congrats on the syndication. That's exciting news. To quote one of my favorite movies, "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" You're mass communicating now, reaching more of the state, and so it's really exciting. And kudos to what you've done with the show, and excited to see it growing.
Well, I really appreciate that a lot, Jay, and I always appreciate having you on the show. Now, there's a lot to talk about, and one of the things that we both actually picked as a topic was this recent Supreme Court decision, and I had to go and do a little research on this, but lo and behold, it was right there in our state constitution. So I will let you get a little bit more into the decision, but folks, what the Supreme Court held in a case this week related to a marijuana amendment to the Arkansas Constitution was that our legislature, if the House and the Senate by a 2/3 majority can change a constitutional amendment. And that is actually in our Constitution. So, Jay, I'm assuming you were happy with that outcome.
Yeah, it's a really important case, and people might not have seen it, or if they did see it, they might have seen some of the traditional media outlets cry about this being the death of democracy and the sky's falling. That couldn't be further from the truth. This is a restoration of the rule of law. As you mentioned, this case came about because of a dispute over the medical marijuana amendment, but the actual ruling is much broader. And there was a case from 1951, 75 years ago, that basically said the legislature did not have the ability to amend constitutional amendments. Now, if you go look at our Constitution, which I know that you have, the plain wording on the state Constitution says that with a 2/3 vote, the legislature can amend any citizen-initiated amendment or one referred by the legislature. And the only reason that court threw that out was because they said it was inconceivable that could be what it actually meant. So classic judicial activism, where you have judges basically disregarding the letter of the law because they didn't like the outcome. And so what this case did, that was decided last week in a unanimous ruling, said that no, that's wrong. We're tossing aside that old precedent. The Constitution clearly says that we have the ability through our legislature to amend constitutional amendments. And this is really important. We talk a lot about the initiative process, and a lot of states don't have this. Arkansas is one of the states that does, but it's really become a place where the left tries to push their bad policy ideas because they know it's not moving in the state legislature. And that's why we see these amendments for abortion, marijuana, this radical education rights amendment that would blow a hole in the state budget and expand welfare across the state. The important thing here is that the people have the ability to adopt amendments, and the people also have the ability to go back and change those through our elected representatives in the legislature. This is all about checks and balances. That's the reason it was in the Constitution. And so it's really good news for Arkansans that now that right has been restored.
Yes, and it's like I said, it's plainly written in, as my British friend would now say, it used to be the Queen's English, but now he'd say the King's English right there. But I guess that's when you have lawyers like Slick William that would ask you, well, that depends upon the meaning of what the word is. Like you just used it in a sentence there, Slick. Oh, my goodness. So yeah, I think that's a good thing. But I'm going to throw a curveball at you, Jay. This is I wouldn't say it was a taboo subject, but it's always met a huge amount of resistance anytime it's been talked about in my 35 plus years now as an Arkansan. What do you think is the possibility of actually calling a constitutional convention here for Arkansas and rewriting and modernizing that 1874 document that has now been amended so many times?
Well, I would love to see it. It's definitely needed. As you said, this Constitution, it's a relic of the Jim Crow era, and it's been lit up. Basically, all these amendments have been added. We've got over 100 amendments that have been added. It's like a Christmas tree. We just keep stacking amendments on here. I think it's needed, and we mentioned the initiative process. Part of the reason that this ruling is important is that the Constitution is not really the place to make policy decisions about how a medical marijuana regulatory program should work, or all these things that get added in the Constitution. It's not the right place to make that kind of policy, and it's another reason this ruling is so important, because the Constitution is the bedrock foundational legal document for how our state government functions. And when all these amendments get added in there, we have to have an opportunity as Arkansans through our elected representatives to go back and say, hey, times have changed and this doesn't work, or this is having an unintended effect. It's especially important when you have all these initiatives that are often really vague and subject to interpretation, can mean different things. And the role of our legislature is to clarify those things and put those things into law. And so it's really, I can't emphasize enough how important this is. Governor Sanders deserves credit for appointing some really strong justices that care about the rule of law and what the plain words on the Constitution actually say. And that's how we got this decision. And we're going to be writing more about this at Opportunity Arkansas, because it has a lot of implications, as you said, for all these amendments that have been added. I'd encourage folks to sign up on our website if you're interested. We're going to be writing more about this and seeing how it plays out. You can check us out at opportunityarkansas.org or follow our social media accounts at Opportunity Arkansas. We're going to have a lot more to say about this.
Yes. And Jay, as you know, we help our audience get home with the traffic reports. So we're going to have to do that. But folks, and welcome back, everyone, to the Steve Finnegan Show with my guest and friend from Opportunity Arkansas, Jay Robertson. Jay, welcome back.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be with you.
Thanks. Just let me remind the audience, Jay, before we get back into things. Folks, we're giving away 2 tickets for the Journey concert on March 25th next year, which is almost here. Faithfully is the key word from the famous Journey song, Faithfully, with Steve Perry. So, Jay, before the break, we were talking about the Constitution and the actual... I have to say I'm glad that the Supreme Court finally held, like you, I will commend the governor where it's due, and she did make some great appointments on the Supreme Court, and it was unanimous. So even the more liberal justices sided with the conservatives, and how often did we get a unanimous decision out of them?
Yeah, it's hard to find a unanimous decision many places in government, but it's hard to ignore when the text is as clear as it is, and it's finally time to overturn a bad precedent, and it's a win for Arkansans. I mean, I can't overstate it enough. It's not like the legislature is some appointed body. Like, these are people we elect, and
yes.
So not allowing the legislature to make these amendments was really restricting the people's voice to go back and make changes as needed. So it's a really exciting change and a welcome change that was overdue.
Yes. And one of the things, I think this is completely changed now. when I first moved to Arkansas, the way things were set up, the credit, the usury laws part of our Constitution, I remember I was absolutely shocked because I didn't have that many store credit cards. Like most people, I had a Visa, but at that time, before Sears imploded, Sears was pretty good to buy tools or lawn equipment and that kind of stuff, and the Craftsman tools. And I had a Sears credit card, and in New Jersey, I'd used it to get some tires, and I think it was a ridiculous, and of course I paid it rather than pay the interest, but a ridiculous like 25% or 24%. And when I moved to Arkansas, I had bought something, and I told my ex-wife, we're going to have to pay this right away because they got a ridiculous 24% interest rate. And when I got the bill in, the interest rate had gone from 24% down to 8%, which is far more reasonable. And I was shocked. And then that's when I found out about the Arkansas Constitution. But now with the federal laws superseding states, that's why a lot of these corporations pick Delaware and North Dakota because of their banking rules and allows them to get away with charging higher interest rates. So I think that argument for the Constitution Convention is over. But
yeah, I mean, to your point, it's determining setting interest rates and things like that. I mean, that's not the kind of stuff that you want to be deciding in the state constitution where it can't be changed or amended.
Yes.
And so there's over 100 amendments that have been added to the Constitution over the years, and a lot of them contain some really intricate policy details like that. And so it's a good thing now that we'll have the opportunity to revisit that and make sure we're getting it right. And importantly, make sure that the people of Arkansas are having their policy preferences put in place through the legislature. I mean, that's how the government's supposed to work. That was the
constitutional republic. Imagine that.
Absolutely.
So,
but if you listen to the other side, they'll claim this is the death of democracy. Well, they only like to talk about democracy when it serves their interests, and democracy doesn't stop after one vote. And the whole intent of the Constitution is to ensure that our voices can be expressed through our representatives.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that we've covered extensively, and I know this affects a large swath of this listening audience, and that was this rule that, of course, Opportunity Arkansas opposed it. I'm imposing it myself, where switching from our duly elected representatives to the bureaucracy tried to change some of the rules for the homeschooled kids or the private schooled kids. So we know there was public comment. So what happened is it's closed now, isn't it?
That's right. Public comment closed this week. We talked a lot about this rule because education freedom is working for families across the state, and this would have really just changed the rules on families midstream. Public comment closed. We actually filed a records request and just got that back today, went through it, and parents spoke up loud and clear. I know we talked about it on this show. I know a lot of the audience probably sent in comments. There were close to 200 comments submitted, 196. Over 90% of those were from parents who are opposed to this rule and said they want to keep education freedom broad and flexible. I mean, it was overwhelming. I went through almost all 200 of these and found only 3 people who submitted comments saying they did specifically want this rule. So this is not something parents have asked for. The voice of parents has been heard loud and clear. Mm-hmm. And so the next step is this rule is going to go back before the state board. Parents have said they want substantial changes. We hope that we will see substantial changes here. There's no need to ban team sports for kids in education freedom. I mean, it's ludicrous. It's part of an education. And so we're hopeful that those changes will be made.
Yeah, team sports, one, teaches you teamwork. And if anybody's been in the United States military, all right, I'm going to have to tease my Air Force friends, with the exception possibly of the Air Force. The rest of them, they pretty much break you down and take the civilian out of you and teach you to be a military team and work together. I know the Air Force guys and gals are mad at me right now for making the joke, but okay.
Well, that's right. And that's what we heard from a lot of these parents who said, sports and extracurricular activities are important for my children.
Yes.
A lot of times it helps motivate them, do better in school. It helps them become more socially aware and outgoing. It gets them to have physical activity. It's important and it should be protected.
Yes. Well, I'm glad to see that. So we'll continue to monitor this, and hopefully the State Board of Education will listen. Well, Jay, as always, it's been great to have you on. I will look forward. Maybe we'll try to do next Wednesday before the holiday. Okay, folks, I'll be back after the news. You're listening to me, Steve Finnegan.